Oh, what's up? We're live, y'all. Here we are. Okay, we're going. It's go time, Lucas. I got Lucas in my ear here, y'all. Hope you don't mind my stupid headphones. I love these big headphones because it shuts out the whole world. If you are new to this channel, thank you so much for being here. My name is Matt Latham. I am a board certified master arborist and registered consulting arborist, and we're doing some cool things here over on the face webs. We got this cool little Facebook group called Ask an Arborist, and essentially you guys submit your great questions about your trees and how to care for them best. Often there's a lot going on with them. As often you got problems, you've got issues, and that's what we're here to address. Is let's take a look at those issues, see if we can solve those problems, and get you guided in the right direction. Because here's the thing: trees are good for humans. They're very good for humans, and so. In fact, by the way, y'all realize they create oxygen. We kind of need to breathe that. That's very important. But so many other benefits that trees provide for us. Cancer patients recover faster, depression rates go down, ADD rates go down, crime goes down, mental health goes up. Oh, and by the way, did you know they shade too? I'm here in Houston, Texas, and it's freaking hot, you guys. And so trees are a very, very, very important part of our lives. If nothing else, we need to cut their wood and make our houses out of them, y'all. So like we need trees. Trees are good for people. So I started this group just as a way of helping you guys out. Really just coming on here, and quite frankly, it got out of hand, like way out of hand. Yeah, we're growing by like 100 people a week right now. And so I'm getting scared. But keep it up. Don't stop. We're figuring out some creative solutions to get with this. And one of those is we started doing this. Let's see, this is our 9.5th issue. And essentially, we started just coming online and just answering them right here in person, live stream. And so this is kind of a stump the arborist, if you will. But let me backtrack a little bit. I started a little company years ago, and it's called Arborist On Demand. You can add a .com to that and check us out. But essentially, we do kind of what we're doing here. We do telemedicine for trees. And we go on, and no matter where you are in the world, we can take a look at your trees, figure out what's going on with them, and point you in the right direction. And, I quite frankly, the medical field can do it. So why can't we as arborists? And 9 times out of 10, we're able to get you going in the right direction. Sometimes we need some lab analysis and things like that, but we can always guide you in that process as well. So what we're finding is that is actually blowing up really fast too. And so guys, I'm just glad to be here with y'all and kind of showcasing what we can do in the digital world with trees. So thanks so much for joining us. We got a few of y'all on here already, and this is exciting. Let's get right after it. Last week, by the way, I had to cut it short a little bit. We did not get to all your questions because, well, it was 4th of July, the week or the night before anyways, and we had to go get some firework action in with my family. So had a great time. Appreciate y'all bearing with me. And we left off not here where you're looking here. This is Sheepadoodle is in New Jersey. And let me just go ahead and play this for you because we looked at it. We said, hey, it's not looking good. But, Lucas and I were talking Sussex County, New Jersey. My wife and I actually wound up there somehow by the grace of God. And it's a beautiful, beautiful area. They call it the Garden State. So Sheepadoodle, this one's for you. Just wanted to go over this because we looked at your tree and you said, I understand that's what you're saying. I didn't have great news for it, honestly. I said, is there any way we can save it? So let's go through it one more time and take a look at this here video. Hope y'all can hear this. I can do that. All right, so let me stop it right there. Sheepadoodle. Oh, I didn't stop it. I just made it worse. Little help. That's all we're talking about. Okay, so yes, actually, sometimes the short-lived freezes are worse because what'll happen is you'll get you'll get this heating and expanding, and then you'll get this shrinking and freezing very quickly, and so that can often shock the plant worse than if it just stays cold for a long extended period of time. And so, okay, so you do have some new growth. Let me just cut this back to the beginning here. I love it. Just right, straight to the point. Only there. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, Sheepadoodle. Let's take a look at each branch, and you want to do what's called the scratch test. Just take your thumbnail, scratch the underside. That's very important of the branch, and tell me if there's green on those sticks. Is it green? Is it living in it? That's going to tell us a lot. Right now, you do see some new leaves coming from the bottom. So that tells me the tree's trying to survive. It's obviously taken a beating and it's struggling. I do wonder, did you have some buds growing in while that freeze kicked in? Because, like I said, those sharp freezes like that can just kick it in the butt. You've got like warm weather and then cold weather and then warm weather again. And oftentimes you'll get sun scald, you'll get that freezing and expanding and then rapid shrinking. And, it's crazy. So you've got obviously some bad scenarios, some bad things going on with the tree, but I don't think it's all lost. You do have some new growth here. And I want to know what those scratch test results come back with. Do you have living tissue on the other underside of those branches? If you do, I'm gonna tell you some things that maybe can make a real difference. Is you want to essentially get what you want to give the tree extra resources very, very rapidly. One of those that's really great that I love is humic acid. Another one is molasses. These are basically all of the building blocks that the trees need. Now, humic acid, if you think of like compost, is essentially like green matter that's broken down. Well, humates or humic acid is essentially it's like composted again. So it's like composted compost. So basically, what you're getting is carbon. All of that is just super concentrated carbon, and you're getting really, really healthy stuff and extra resources. All of the leaves, by the way, create what we call photosynthates, and photosynthates are essentially sugars, is C6H12O6. And so when you add molasses, that's going to jumpstart a lot of processes in the plant, in the tree. And hopefully we can get that going very rapidly. Let me give you this video though, because this is really important. By the way, if y'all haven't seen, we do have a YouTube channel that we've been growing very rapidly, and not quite as rapidly as this group, but we'd love to have y'all join us. It's Arborist on Demand on YouTube, and I'll go ahead and drop a link here in the channel. 1 second here. All right, so this one's for you, Sheepadoodle, Mountain Sheepadoodle. What a great name too. The other thing is it was buried too deep. You planted it too deep, or somebody planted it too deep. That's not ideal, but it can be corrected. I want you to do this radial trenching. And then the other thing is I want you to go ahead and expose the root flares. So let me widescreen it real quick. This is really important. It's like any tree. This is so, so critically important. So anytime you have a tree that sticks out of the ground like that, it just goes, this is the dirt or soil. That's wrong. And what you'll have happen is on these newly planted trees, we call it the teacup effect, and water wants to go from high pressure to low pressure. So fortunately in New Jersey, you got the Appalachian or Adirondacks right down the street. A lot of that's really healthy mountain runoff soil. And so you've got a great soil. Here in Houston, our soil sucks. Sorry. Bad language, right? Back in the 90s, at least. But what happens is you get this compacted soil all around here, and that wants to push water in here. So I imagine you have the teacup effect going on. You've got kind of a stress scenario right there where the root flares are buried. So you're going to have to open that up. And what you want to see is these big, wide open root flares. You want it to come in and flare out really big. I like to say 45-degree angle or more, give or take, is a good point. But essentially, you want to open that up. If ask a 5-year-old to draw a picture of a tree, that's what you want to see. You can see my 5-year-old drawing skills here. Anyways, Mountain Sheepadoodle, thanks so much for your comment. I really hope that helps. And let's move on here, guys. 1 second here. All right, so we got through all these, y'all. I'm just scrolling through, getting back where we were. Julianne, where are you? Here we go. I'm here with you. Is it worth having an arborist come to my house to examine an oak bracket fungus? I found it on an oak by my house, or can I just remove the fungus myself and hope no decay will continue here, or is it too late? The oak seems fine, as well as the canopy. Y'all ever heard of the tip of the iceberg syndrome? The mushroom fungus that you see, the conch, that's actually just the fruiting body. So if you think of it like, let's say a hydrangea or a rose. So you got a rose bush. You've got this big, beautiful rose bush. Hold on. Here we go. Where are we? Full screen mode. Okay, so you got a rose bush. You know, this is a terrible drawing of a rose bush. You got a whole root system that comes out from that. That's great. We're just going to call it rose. And you got a little flower here. Got a little flower here. Got a little flower here. Maybe a billion flowers. I don't know. Depends on the size of the rose bush, really. But essentially what you're seeing, those fungal conchs, or mushrooms. That's the stuff, the part of the that you eat. I can't even spell mushroom here, y'all. It's been a rough day, huh? So essentially, what you are looking at when you look at this, that big old mushroom, that is the fruit of the plant. That is the flower of the plant. That is the reproductive part. You've still got a whole bush. You've got a whole root system. You've got a whole organism beyond that. That is only the reproductive parts. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't live my life based on only reproductive parts, and y'all shouldn't either. But anyways, that is what you're looking at, is just the reproductive parts of the mushroom, the fungus, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, you got a whole living organism under there. So removing that won't do much. It's just taking away the fruiting body. Hoping is not going to help either. That no decay will continue. It will continue. It's not too late per se. What we need to know is what's the actual decay? How much damage has this fungal pathogen done? B, first of all, let me backtrack. A, what type of mushroom is it? You say bracket fungus. I don't know. That it's a conch. It's some sort of fungal conch. What we need to do is we need to get lab analysis. So where is it? Here we go. Let me give you this link. This is a great website. I know because I made it. It's called arboristontdemand.com. But what you want to do is you want to find your state's local agriculture extension, and you want to send that mushroom off to them and tell them, hey, I need to identify this. By the way, get to know those guys. They're your friends, and they love teaching stuff just like I do. So that's going to help you out. You want to send that off to them, figure out exactly what it is, and then get back with me. But the main thing is you've got to make sure that that's not something that will cause significant wood decay. If you do, next question is, what are the consequences if it were to fall? If it is a fungal pathogen that causes damage, we got to make sure that if that tree were to fall, it's not coming on you, your family, your house, your property, etc. And there's a certain risk that you have to be willing to take on, per se, if you will. And so I think it would be worth it. But here's the other thing too, is we can always do a virtual consultation. Let me send this over to you right now. Oops, this is the one I wanted. Not that one. We can do essentially, I look at it and we can tell you exactly what's going on. So I'm going to give you that link as well. But you want to make sure that it's not going to cause damage. Well, first of all, it's not going to fall. What kind of damage is it? What kind of fungal pathogen is it? And is it going to fall and come crashing down and damage you, your family, your house, etc.? So that's all I have to say about that. I hope that helps, Julian. I'm sorry that you're dealing with that, but yeah, I would not just remove it and hope for the best. I would definitely get some lab analysis and figure out what's going on and what are the consequences if it fails. And we're moving on. All right. So Victoria Gardner Brown, why is my red oak dying? Never lost all its leaves in the fall. In the last 2 months, the bark is falling off. Healthy limbs. Well, so you say, Victoria. Zone 8B, South Mississippi. So you're right around the same area that we are. You got a very similar climate. Robert Compton over here mentioned hypoxylin canker. I actually agree. Tree is terminal. There's no listed treatment or cure. If you catch it early enough, there's where it is only facing in the limbs. It's possible to remove the limbs that are experiencing it, impossible to save the tree. There's no guarantee. Do not call a tree guy or a local handyman. You need a certified arborist who knows how to deal with this. 100% Robert. Way to go, dude. Fantastic. By the way, Robert is a legend in the industry. Really cool dude. I've been hanging out with him on the webs of face or the books of face or the tubes of you or whatever for what? What's up? Oh, okay. We got a whole series of replies apparently. All right, check this out. So, yeah, I agree. I think that's hypoxylin. And hypoxylin is one of those few fungal pathogens, by the way, that prefers drought. So, one of your treatments, if we can remove the limb, I don't know if we can. It doesn't represent as hypoxylin. You need to have an arborist out. Take a look just to be sure. Yeah, Mary, I think you've got, I think you, excuse me, Victoria. I think Robert is spot on, and it looks like Mary Elizabeth Mann is asking, is that what this is on my maples? No, I don't think so. It doesn't look to me to be hypoxylin. That looks to be some sort of bacterial, maybe bacterial wetwood, or it could be like a phytophthora, bleeding wound canker, something like that. I hope that helps, Mary Beth, or Mary Elizabeth. Man. There's a guy named Neville Mann. He's one of my people, and he's a great guy, a great arborist here in Houston as well. He was the Rice University arborist. Maybe y'all are related, but he's a UK dude. He's got a way cooler accent than I do. In fact, we have spoken together at some public things, and one day he was late, and I thought it would be funny, like, hey, Neville's on his way, you guys, but you're gonna like his accent way more. I got a little chuckle out of it or whatever, but cool dude. Robert's he's up there. He's like top arborist. So I will back you all the way, Robert. I think you're spot on. You've got hypoxylin. Here's the thing with hypoxylin. It is a vascular wilt disease, Victoria. Think of it like clogged arteries. Is essentially blood cancer, if you will. It's systemic all throughout the tree. However, I'm right on par. I think Robert was saying that if you can isolate it to the limbs, then get rid of the limb, then you can potentially save the tree, but it's an uphill battle from here on out. You're going to have to really be willing to commit to spending some money and some time and some energy on this tree. So you may be better off cutting your losses on it. You've got a power line that looks like running through it. So I don't know what the situation here is, Victoria, but I agree with Robert's diagnosis or analysis, I should say. I don't want to call it a diagnosis without lab confirmation, but I think you've got hypoxylin is what that looks like to me. You got to water it. You got to upgrade the health and vitality of the tree. Get that tree to just outgrow the daylights out of that thing. Oftentimes, hypoxylin will disrupt the hormones in the tree. That may be why they didn't lose leaves, because there's one hormone called abscisic acid that essentially pinches off the base of the tree. Here, let's go into study or learning mode here, you guys. What do I do with my marker? Am I losing my mind here? What did I do with it? Lucas, help me out. I got like red and purple and stuff like that's. My freaking daughter comes in here and she takes. I got a 2-year-old and she comes and takes all of my stuff. I got my black one. Yeah, I got it. We're good. All right. So abscisic acid. So everything that happens in a tree happens via hormones. So the roots grow via hormones produced in the branch tips. The branch tips grow because of hormones produced in the roots. The outside grows because of hormones that cause it to grow outward. And on your leaves, they actually shut down because of a hormone called abscisic acid. So here's my stupid, terrible leaf. I'm like the worst. Wow, that's even worse than I expected it to be. Something like that. So right at the base here where it's attached to the limb is you've got this little attachment called a petiole. And essentially what's happening is as the winters come in, the nights get shorter, the days get shorter, the nights get longer. That's going to stimulate some hormonal responses in the tree. Also the weather getting cooler and things like that. And the tree is going to send out what we call abscisic acid. And that's going to tell all of these little these leaf attachments to pinch. and to close that off and seal that wound, essentially separating the tree from the tree, or the leaf from the tree. And so that's why in the winter, when the leaves fall, that's exactly why they fall, is because of that abscisic acid being stimulated by the environmental and the climate changes. So she mentioned, Victoria, that you mentioned that the leaves in the fall, it never lost all its leaves in the fall. That's probably a lot of what's going on, in that hypoxylin most certainly can disrupt those hormones enough to cause it to have an imbalance like that. So those are probably just symptoms that you're seeing. But anyways, I do think you've got hypoxylin. Let me leave you another link to our digital arborist consultations. I'm happy to get on a call with you, and maybe we could take a look at that in person and really analyze it and see what the best plan is moving forward. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Robert. You hit the nail on the head. Well done, sir. Robert's a great guy, and glad to have you here, buddy. All right, we're moving on. Maybe. Oh, goodness. This branch fell yesterday. Does it look like I need to get the whole tree removed? That's a weighted question, isn't it? Oh, township just came and removed it. They think it was lightning. Well, I don't. I don't think that's lightning at all. They're probably looking at this dark discoloration. That's garbage. Wow. Township guys, learn your trees before you start diagnosing. That's not good. This was a branch union that was way too narrow. We call it included bark. Let me draw a picture here for you. So what you want to see in a branch union is you want a really, really wide branch union. So essentially you want the letter U. When you have a letter V-shaped branch union, what happens, this is a branch. Don't get weird on me, guys. And so essentially, whenever you've got a really tight, narrow branch union like that, is the fibers are all growing together. When you've got a wide branch union like this, the cells actually envelop one another slowly but surely, multiple layers. Hey, what's up, JK? Glad to have you here. Thanks for being here. Sorry, I just saw that. So anytime you've got a really narrow branch union, what happens sometimes is you'll get water grow here, and then you'll get branch or bark grow outward. And so as the bark continues to grow, we call it included bark, and it's no good. It's just no good. So what that does is it just forms a really, really weak branch union. Bradford pears are the most notorious, but you'll get it in really any tree species, depending on how the tree's doing, how it grows, how it's trained as it grows up, and things like that. And so it's a deformation, basically. This was not lightning, like not even close. Like that was a weak branch union, a lot of branch tip weight. It looks like, yeah, maple, some sort of maple, which is really not a great strong tree to begin with, most of them, although they'll get hundreds of years old up north. The silver maples die like 20 years down the road here in Houston, but or unalives, excuse me. I'm so sorry, algorithms. I didn't mean to upset the almighty algorithms. Okay, so the question though is, does it look like I will need to get the whole branch, the whole tree removed? I don't know. I'm wondering about this one. Uh-oh, I don't need that. Let's leak page. I'm wondering about this one branch that goes over your house. I'm a little concerned with that because it looks like you had a tri-union branch, something like that. You had 3 branch stems that grew and became the primary structure of that tree. So when you lost that one, I'm really wondering if that's a good idea, because what's left is, here, let's go back to the drawing board. All right, so you had 3 branch unions that all stemmed off of this. So one of them was lost. And what? Oh, that's not right. That's the other one. The other one was lost. Sorry. Details, y'all. So you lost this guy. Now what happens is you've got a big gap in the canopy. And so all of a sudden, I imagine you've got the same problem here. Weak branching structure, weak branch union. Now you've got wind can come and bypass where it would have been blocked before. Now it's free to come and hit this one, and their house is right here. So I personally think you need to get a professional opinion on the matter. I think you need to, that's what we're doing, right? You need to get somebody to take a look at that and make sure that doesn't need some sort of a structural support cable, etc. because you might have kind of a weak structure left over, and I don't have a great view on it. So maybe if you could send me some more pictures, that'd be good. But yeah, sorry. I think you've got kind of a lost cause here. I think you should really consider taking remedial action. And again, I'm happy to get on a Zoom chat with you, and we can go in and just really take a closer look at it and figure out what needs to happen. And we can even write up a prescription for somebody else to follow. I am not in anywhere that has townships. Texas, we just have cities, municipalities. So anyways, hope that helps. Anonymous, moving on. Sean asks, good morning. I'm curious if anyone here knows of any resources or funding available to help in the treatment of ash trees affected with EAB, emerald ash borer. Any information would be appreciated. I'm going to make this really short and sweet because yes, there are federal and local grant monies allocated towards treating emerald ash borer. Because here's what we're finding as an, oh shoot, y'all can't even see what I'm looking at. Whoa, hey, they're I didn't want to look at me either. Yes, there's grant money that's allocated for emerald ash borer containment and treatment. Will you get that money? Low chances, but it's possible. It's worth reaching out to your local ag extension. Again, I just gave you a list right there, and reach out to them and see what they can do to help you out, because that's a beautiful tree. That's a cool ash tree. Cool ash tree. I'm not cursing. That's an ash tree. Ash. Shh. There we go. It's funny. I got some speech impediment that was never diagnosed or whatever. But anyways, hope that helps, Sean. Moving on. Reach out to them and see if they can help you. All right. So Lindsay asks, any advice going on what's happening to our tree? The entire tree leaves are affected, and wondering if there's a way to treat it or if I should assume it's going to unalive. There we go. I got it. We've had high temperatures and high humidity the past month here in Omaha, Nebraska. I don't want to hear about it coming from Houston. Ours is like 110% humidity and like 95-degree days. So y'all probably got like 85 and you're calling it hot. I'm sorry, that was rude. Experiencing those elements, but we have experienced those elements in years prior without any issue. Yeah, I don't think that to me looks like herbicide combined with nutrient deficit combined with a little bit of fungal pathogens coming in and taking advantage of an already stressed tree. Let's see what the other guys say. You need a certified arborist, not a tree guy. I agree. I'm a track certified arborist. You do have one of the few things happening most we can guess online. I don't believe trimming it any further will be the option that the arborist will give you, as one person has stated. Normally, okay, let's read what it's saying. Yeah, okay, most trees survive. It looks like leaf spot disease. Yeah, I agree. You got a little bit of leaf spot. Surely it will unalive. That's not necessarily true. Sorry, Cole. Rake up any leaves off the ground that could possibly spread more of the disease. That I'll agree with. I normally say leave the leaves on the ground, let them decompose and become compost and feeding and food for the tree later on. Likely poor drainage issue. Yes, absolutely. I think that's a big part of what's going on here. And get someone to prune the tree to let the tree get more airflow. No, that I disagree wholeheartedly. But absolutely spot on with the poor drainage. I think you've got poor drainage going on with this tree. I think you've possibly got herbicide damage. But what we do know is you definitely have nutrients that are locked up in the soil. What you want to do is you want to get 2 tests, actually. Oops. Talk to these guys. They're out of... Oh, here we go. It's right there. Send them a soil sample, and then you're going to want to get in touch with your local agriculture extension, and you're going to want to talk to them as well and send off a tissue sample. And what you want to do, they're going to give you, and basically you just take the leaves, send them off. They should have some sort of way to determine that. You want to compare the two, because I would be willing to bet money. You're in Omaha, Nebraska. Nebraska has some pretty good soil. Not the best, but not the worst by any means. And what's probably going on is the minerals, the things that are there that would cause that tree to become green. The tree's not able to access them. So typically what that is they're either locked in the soil via salt or via a low cation exchange capacity rate, which can often be related to salt. Or you might have some sort of herbicide going on that's preventing those nutrients from getting to the tree. Or you could have a lack of the beneficial microbes, which will chelate those minerals out of the soil and make them available to the tree. Something's going on there. That is called chlorosis. Chlorosis is a big old fancy word of saying tree don't make enough chlorophyll. That's my own interpretation. I don't talk like that just because I'm from Texas, y'all, by the way. I just want to clarify that. We don't talk like that here in Texas. We don't wear cowboy hats and boots, by the way. We're just normal humans like y'all. We just say y'all a lot. That's the big thing. So chlorosis is... Ooh. That's where I'm at today. Chlorosis is essentially a really fancy way of saying tree doesn't have enough minerals and it's usually iron, manganese, sometimes nitrogen, sometimes magnesium, but it's typically one of those four that to make the chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll, if you remember back to 8th grade biology, is chlorophyll takes the sunlight, uses that as energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into C6H12O6. Hold on, I gotta do that again. This is ridiculous. C6H12O6 or sugar. Trees are made of sugar, y'all, essentially. And if you want to get real fancy with it, trees are made of air. CO2, H2O, and water. So if the tree has the resources that it needs to make that chlorophyll, mostly, like I said, iron, manganese, magnesium, and nitrogen, then essentially it is going to be able to make those nice, beautiful, dark leaves. By the way, the tree has stunted the growth. I can see it's not growing a whole lot here. Let me go back to this screen. You can tell that this tree is very yellow. That's where that chlorosis word comes from. Chlorophyll, by the way, makes the tree green, just like you and I have melanin and carotenoids and things like that. Those are what give us our silly colors in our skin that we all call race, but it's actually just ethnicities. So racism is the wrong word. I think ethnicism maybe is the right word, but y'all confused. There ain't multiple races. That's like confusion based on evolutionary biology. We won't go there. Miss Scusi. But there's not multiple races. There's just the human race, you guys. So trees are the same way. They have pigments, just like we have colors that make our skin a certain color, brown or darker brown mostly. The tree does too. One of those is chlorophyll, which gives it the green color. Other ones are like carotenoids and anthocyanins. Those are the reds and the oranges and the purples and stuff like that. And the yellows, of course. Carotenoids, if you think of like, if only the tips of the leaves are yellow, is that different? Oh, that's a great question. So JK is asking if only the tips of the leaf are yellow, is that different? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes that can be sort of a burning on the edges. But we call this interveinal chlorosis. Oops, where are we? So interveinal chlorosis is essentially where the leaf veins have enough chlorophyll in them. They're doing okay, but the tree didn't have enough resources to produce the chlorophyll in the middle of those leaf veins. So think of our bodies. We have arteries flowing through us, capillaries and things like that. It's prioritizing, and you can kind of see that how the leaf veins are nice dark green color, but then in between. So I think what you're asking though is like on the edges of the leaf, is like right around here. Sometimes that can be like a bacterial leaf scorch. That could be a fungal pathogen of some sort. So it's not necessarily the same. I think it is a little bit different. Typically that's going to be some sort of pathogen or abiotic disease. Abiotic meaning non-living, of course. And so hopefully that helps, JK. But yeah. All right. So yeah, chlorophyll, very important. Very important. And sorry, I spent too much time on that one, but that was a good learning moment. Yeah, I agree with Robert. You need a certified arborist, not a tree guy. Don't get your cutters out there. You want to get somebody that really understands the science, because you got an uphill battle. But you know what I love is a good success story. So if I can be a part of that, I'd love to. And feel free to hit us up and schedule an arborist exam. We can take a look at it digitally, because that's what we do. Is like telemedicine for trees, kind of. So hopefully that helps, Lindsay. And we're moving on. Kaylee's asking, should I get that right limb pruned? I was thinking that right limb might be more likely to snap in a big storm since it's a 2 leader tree. I think I know what you mean there. Yes, leader, Leader, is what you're going for. I believe they're Kaylee. Yeah. So what I would do is kind of structural pruning. And by the way, y'all, I'm actually working on getting um, a little fake tree that we can kind of take limbs away and remove and things like that. Hopefully that'll be a little better at describing these things that we're talking about. If y'all are like me, I'm kind of visual, kind of kinesthetic learner. And so I'm trying to make this better for you guys as we go. We're all just figuring this out together though, y'all. But essentially you've got primary leader here. And then you had at some point years ago, another one that grew off of here. And what's happening is you've got what we call competing dominance. So essentially, this tree got the energy it needed to start really pushing growth outwards. And so what happens is that main primary stem is growing and it's trying to become the primary leader as it should. And then you've got another one. Yeah, Legos for trees. That's exactly right, JK. Yeah, we're trying to get little kind of fake trees that we can use to demonstrate a little better. And I'm not too good to go and snip and patch it up later kind of guy. But essentially, this limb was competing for dominance. So it presents a little bit of a structural defect in the tree. It looks like at this point, it's probably not a big deal. But if I were to go in and recommend something, I would say maybe just take a little bit of branch weight off of the end. This tree forks at the top. We were thinking the limb that forks off to the right needs to be pruned off. Don't remove the whole thing, whatever you do, Kaylee. That's not good because that's going to be too much. That's a lot off of the lead. What I would do is right up in here, I would take some of the branch weight off. And this looks like some kind of a laurel oak, maybe, or a willow oak. And those do tend to be a little more snappy. So it would be a good idea. We call it structural pruning. And so you want to get like a really good plan for what limbs to take off and where. Let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Let's open up Paint for a minute. Where'd it go? Where'd you go, Paint? There we go. My neighbors are pulling in. Here we go. There it is. Cool. Okay, so we're going to post this in here. What I would do, where's all my, there we go. I'm going to draw a line here. Make sure it's big enough for y'all to see. What I would do is I would take these and I would reduce them back. Every single one of them. I might even remove that limb and probably this limb right here. What that's going to do, and you can kind of see that forms the canopy right in, hold on, let me get a different color so you can see. That kind of gives us more, we don't need lines now. We need paintbrush now. Kind of gives us a much lower canopy here, which is going to allow this other limb to really start to grow a little bit more. And so, like I said, we call that competing dominance. And it's not uncommon for trees that are in an urban built environment. It just kind of happens. It's one of those. And so you definitely want to get some structural pruning done on this. Yeah, I don't think you need to remove the whole limb. I think if you were to remove that whole limb, that would really start the decay process in here, and you don't want that either. So that's not good. Hopefully that helps, Kaylee. And again, hit us up if you need help really getting a good game plan. We can always put together an actual pruning plan that can be implemented by others. So hope that helps, and we're moving on. All right, may I get advice? So Michelle is asking, where are you at, Michelle? I don't know. How to prune this peach tree. Is making an open center shape the best? Where should I prune and when to minimize wasting more energy going to branches that will only be cut? That's a great question. Peaches get really, really, really heavy. So let's go back to our handy dandy drawing board here. All right. So got a little tree. So on fruit trees only, this is not for every tree. What you want, they call it an open vase type of shape. So you want 5, maybe 6 different branch unions, but you don't want that typical pyramid shape. So the last tree, you have a willow oak that's going to want to grow like this. It's going to want to grow in a pyramid. But at some point, the hormones got mixed up and it had another branch that branched off there. Well, we want to reduce that so that this can continue to be the primary dominant. On your fruit trees, totally different animal. What you're going for is fruit production. And so trees are very resilient. They can handle a little bit of a beating. And so what you want to do is you want to beat it down a little bit for better production and better health of the tree. Now, most fruits, including peaches, they look, hey, what's up, academic? It's good to see you here, man. I had to prune overscaled yew trees, mature yew for long boughs in old days. Talk about codominant. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. It's codominant or competing dominance on that other one. It's not technically the one we were looking at is not codominant, but it's definitely competing dominance. So that can also be a problem. So they call it the open, getting back to fruit trees. So Michelle, what you want to do is you want an open vase type shape. So you want these branches to be growing like this for two reasons. Is A, you don't want to have to climb 40 feet to get to that. So that's, that's dangerous. Don't do that. The other thing is this is going to maximize fruit production. So when you create that open vase or vase shape, then that is going to maximize the amount of branches that the tree can grow fruit on. The other thing that's really important, I believe peaches are produce fruit on the new growth. So what you want to do is during the fall or during the winter, you want to come in and reduce the height on those a little bit, and that'll stimulate. Don't top it per se, but make some good reduction pruning cuts where you're pruning back to a good lateral branch. That's going to be really important, and that'll help to just increase the amount of new growth that comes in. Hold on, my daughter's waking up from nap, y'all. Sorry. So when you reduce the height by a good third, 25%, is that will actually stimulate new growth, new buds that will grow and produce fruit. So y'all correct me if I'm wrong here. I get my fruit trees mixed up because I don't deal with a lot of fruits. But yes, open that up. The other thing is fruit trees often have fungal pathogens that will get in there. And so by opening it upwards, you're actually allowing the airflow to flow through much more easily, which will prevent fungal pathogens from growing on the leaves and the fruit. So hope that helps, Michelle. And we are moving on. And again, like I said, feel free to check us out on arboristonDemand.com. We can always take a look at it in person and get a good pruning plan and care plan together. Here's another one that's really nice. Where am I at? I'm like the worst at technology. So I'm working on getting this. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but my Shopify, that's it. Yeah, there we go. That's why I got brilliant guys like Lucas on my side here to help me. He's in my ear right now, by the way. Let's see if I've got it in there. I thought I had all my, here we go. Okay. So this is going to be a really great product. I'll go ahead and send you the link to this. Oh, this is cool. I can do this now, Lucas. We did a thing. We did it. Yay. I've been working on getting this store up for like way longer than I should have. But this is a really great product that'll help with producing more blooms, which will produce more fruit. Very important. Fruit trees, nut trees like pecans, not so much. Avocados and pistachios, yes, JK. Pecans, just let them grow wild. Like they love just be out in the open and just grow and grow and grow. And then academic mailbox was saying, I chainsaw milled some of the larger yew branches they make longbows out of back in old times. Yew is such a strong tree, not yew, like YEWU, like the tree. And it's amazing lumber. Black locust apparently closes in on itself when milled. So does yew lumber. So what he's saying is it tightens up and it kind of closes the gaps. A lot of them, they'll start to shrink and expand, and you'll get cracking and checking. When you release tension in timber when milling, normally lumber does a banana split. Yep, type release of tension. Yew, black locusts do not. They tighten up on the blade, so that's cool, and also probably a pain. So what he's saying is it basically flares out as you're cutting it, and then he's saying yew and what was the other one? Black locusts start to close in on itself. That's really cool. Here's that. When you release tension in timber when milling, normal lumber does a banana split. So that's really cool. I didn't know that, but JK was asking, is it the same for nut trees like pecans? Not so much. You want as much because those are going to grow on the old growth and a little bit on the new growth, but it's a little bit different for pecan trees, and most of them are better set up to handle fungal pathogens. The only difference, like with pecans, you'll get what is it, pecan scab, I think it is. Let's see here. There's a pretty nasty one that we see all the time down here in H-Town. That will ruin the fruit. It makes it disgusting, nasty little fruits. So yeah, when you got fungal pathogens like that, you want to keep it as dry as you can, but mostly in the soil. And so that's the pecan scab's nasty. That's the biggest one we see here, but you could see like the fruits all just eaten away inside. Where you at? Come on. Anyways, yeah, you can see that's like, you don't want to eat that, y'all. So anyways, thanks for the comments, guys. That's awesome. All right, so we're moving on. So Suze was asking, looking for help. What is this and what can I do to protect it from future infestation? Will the tree survive? Thanks for any help you can give me. Those are gall maple. Okay, so Lindsay Purcell. Oh, y'all, this is awesome. Lindsay's such a great dude. He is y'all don't even know, like there's some absolute legends that come in here and comment on your questions. So really glad that we did this and that y'all are getting some unbelievably good guys. Lindsay charges like I charge, like way too much. And where'd you go? He actually teaches in the industry. He's got a whole course on how to become an arborist and actually has a guarantee with it to go along with it. So cool guy. And yes, he's spot on. Maple bladder gall caused by a mite, cosmetic only, no worries. I agree. Maybe try to help upgrade the health a little bit by giving it some supplemental water during drought. If it gets really out of control, you can do like a miticide on it as a trunk injection or as a systemic. But honestly, I don't think you've got a big problem there. I think you've got a cosmetic issue. Rake up the leaves in the fall and you should be good. That'll get rid of 90% of the critters. Hopefully you won't have this problem. Also, look up that maple bladder gall and see if the mite that causes it, see if there's any type of parasitic wasp or something that will eat it, ladybugs, etc. I love going the biological route because when you add the beneficials, now you got some kind of like attack warriors on your side. You don't have to do anything. You just set them free and let them go feast. Like that's how nature works, y'all. All right, so moving on. Kate was asking, we had a significant freezing event in March in my 100-plus-year-old cedars. Wow. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Became severely bent. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of branches broke. Fortunately, I didn't have a lot of branches broken. I was hoping that with the warm weather, they would straighten up. And unfortunately, some of the branches remained bent. First pick is after the storm. Second pick is today. Third pick is the way they used to look standing up straight. Okay, so what you're talking about is your training. Oh yeah, JK, ladybugs are great. That is one of those, like, I remember we had some okra and I released some ladybugs because we had like millions of aphids and it got crazy. And we released the ladybugs. They went out and ate them all like in a couple days. It was crazy. So, all right, so let's look at this. We got these cedars. That is a beautiful looking property you got there, Kate. Probably 100-plus-year-old home too. Okay, so this is today. This is during the freeze. My son must be on playing stupid video games or something. And this is their former glory. Okay, so I see what you're saying. That stinks. I'm really sorry. Those might be cedars. Those might be Italian cypress. I think they're probably Italian cypress, but they could be a form of juniper too. Yeah, that could be cedar. I need a closer look to really tell. Okay, so great question. You've got kind of a structural problem with some ice damage that bent them over. That really stinks. What you can do is you can start to train them to grow upward a little bit. And what that means is not topping, but you can do a reduction pruning cut to relieve some of the weight on the ends here. And then you can actually cable those back up into the canopy. So let me show you on the big screen here what we're talking about. So you've got all these funky bent cedars are bowing out like that and then like that. And then you got one or two that are upright and kind of like that. So what you can do is you can install a cable here and pull those back up into the canopy. You might have to have the guys do that several times over before it really works. But at the same time, another thing you can do is just relieve some of the pressure is take a lateral branch and you might want to get a professional to do this. is come in and take away some or a lot of this weight, and that might allow the tree to pull up, because when they're bent like that, tree fibers have memory, if you will, is they are going to grow and fill in the gaps. So every time the wind blows, think of it like the tree is going to the gym. When you and I go to the gym, especially if you're a dude and have testosterone out of control, like we do, then what's happening is when we're actually working out, we're breaking down the muscle fibers, and our bodies come in and they fill in the gaps. That's why you drink protein shakes and all that. I'm not a human biologist. I'm not a physical therapist. So don't quote me on any of this, but that's my best understanding is you've got essentially you're breaking down the muscle fibers, your body fills in the gaps. Trees are doing the exact same thing. So you'll notice on trees that grow sideways, oftentimes you get this really, really big fat section on the underside pushing it up. And you get this really, really big fat section on the backside pulling it up. And so that's basically what's happening is as that tree is leaning over, the muscle tissues, if you will, the fibers are being filled in. The tree is experiencing stress in that position, in that particular spot, and it fills in the gaps. And that's why it's staying like that, is there might have been some microfracturing that went on. Well, now the tree's filling in the gaps. So in order to correct that, you're going to have to pull them back up and position them in a way that they can be trained to be more upright. And so this one's going to take a little bit of finesse and a little bit of expertise, somebody that really knows what they're talking about. So again, if you want, I'm happy to get on a digital call with you, and we can digital arborist consultation, and we can take a look at it. We can figure out exactly what's going on and what needs to happen, and get a really good written game plan together. I think that'll go a long ways. You're definitely going to need somebody local that can help you implement it, though. Hope that helps. Moving on. I believe this to be a blue spruce, Doobie asks. Doobie Tybo. What a great name. Utah, Layton, Utah. I believe this to be a blue spruce. Correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like a blue Atlas spruce to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's about 60 years old and has been topped. It's massive. Excuse me. It takes up nearly my whole front yard. We're killing off. Oh, wait. Y'all need to see what I'm seeing, don't you? There we go. Y'all go ahead and type in the chat if I start doing stupid stuff like that. Anyways, you don't want them to look at me reading. That's boring. Okay, so really cool blue spruce, maybe blue Atlas spruce. I don't know. Massive, takes up my whole front yard. We are killing off the grass this summer, winter because the needles make it useless. Good. I wouldn't do anything to try to help it. Just let it do its thing. Second picture is our inspiration coming next spring. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, good. You're way better off doing a more of a landscape bed than you are turf grass. Turf grass, not a fan personally. Looks nice. You can see I got turf grass in my front yard. It's okay, but I mean, I don't know, maybe you can see. I got grass. It's fine. Everything's fine. But honestly, I like God's design better. It's going to a forest. You don't see turf grass. Sorry. My question, how do we trim this beauty so we do not kill it? Excuse me, unalive. Sorry, algorithms. I've heard that removing the foliage at the bottom may make it more susceptible to blowing over. We got some good gusts at times, and I certainly do not want that to happen. However, if we could trim up the bottom a bit, I think it may open up the space. If you look inside the canopy, the first set of branches are at least 6 to 7 feet high, meaning all the foliage going to the ground is just that, a canopy. So it's got branches 6 feet high, sweeps down, and it becomes the canopy there. Inside the canopy, there's a ton of space. I know we have some straggler weeds and trees in the mix, so all of that will be cleared out as well. Okay, let's take a look at it. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a beautiful tree. Yeah, you got to get rid of those little volunteer trees down here. That's not ideal. But what a gorgeous tree. Yeah, what I would do, I would actually leave it alone as best you can. I think I might have lost you there, Lucas. Help me, Lucas, one Kenobi. You're my only hope. Where are you? Lucas, don't leave me. Hold on, let's see. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties. Lucas, can you hear me? What are we talking here? What are we doing? You there? No. All right, hold on. I'm gonna push button, see what happens. Test check, microphone check. Yo, can you hear me? Don't leave me, Lucas, or at least Mark. Keep marking where these comments are. Help me out here, man. There you go. All right, Lucas is back. We're good. Help me. Did you hear me? I said, "Help me, Lucas." One Kenobi. Oh, volunteer tree. That's a great question. JK was asking, what's a volunteer tree? A volunteer tree is a tree that you and I didn't plant. Usually squirrels did. It's just a layman's term more than anything. It's not really a industry terminology or anything like that. But basically, it's just a tree that came up that you didn't plan on. And so essentially, the forest is a volunteer. What's that? Yeah, it's a little more giving than the other tree. It gives of itself right there where you don't want it. So actually, I've had volunteer trees turn into big trees that became primary trees in the landscape. So not necessarily a bad thing, but right here, yeah, they're competing for dominance with that spruce. Not ideal, or cedar rather, blue cedar, blue spruce, something like that. So this is the inspiration. This is what they're going for. What I would do is go as natural as you possibly can there, Doobie. I would leave it alone, those branches. It can make it a bit top heavy. Honestly, if you go up like 3 feet, whatever, 5 feet, it's probably not a big deal. But I'm a big, like, keep it as natural as you can. What you could do is reduce the canopy height on some of those lower branches, and that'll raise it like 2 or 3 feet off the ground. That's not a bad thing. Get rid of those volunteers. Whatever you do, don't spray herbicide to do it. Do not do that. That is so bad. You will hurt your tree. I can't promise you that. I can't like state that as a fact, but probably you're going to do some damage. So yeah, I would keep it as natural as possible. Don't put rocks here either. That's not good. This is beautiful in pictures, but it takes artificial maintenance to keep it that way. So oh, that's funny. JK saying, "Oh, my parents' backyard is like 10 of those." Yeah, fence line trees that's common. And I may have to take a break here. Let me text my wife and see if she can grab the girl. And I'm getting a. Dropped my phone yesterday too. It smashed it into a million pieces. Look at that. That's fun. Oh well, it happens. Yeah, I pay for the insurance. It will be all right. Yeah, I would keep this doobie. I would keep it as natural as possible. It looks to be a little bit stressed to me, so you don't want to stress it out any more than you have to. Make sure it's getting good supplemental water. I see like some browning down there. I'm wondering if you haven't already sprayed some things, but hopefully you didn't. It may just be the needles that are causing it. Cool. All right, no breaks for me. Thank you, my love. All right. So, yeah, I would keep it as natural as possible, and you can reduce some of those outlying branches a little bit, but don't overdo it. Make sure to give it some microlife or some sort of supplemental fertilization. I like the biological type fertilizers, like Microlife is a great brand. Let me show you one that I love, is a really, really great product, is Humates Plus. You can get it in a gallon. You can get it in which will last you like decades or so. So I'll post that there for you. I'd love to get it to you if you can. That's a great product, and it will go a long ways to keeping the tree healthy and thriving. So hope that helps, Doobie. Moving on. Hi, everyone. Thoughts on the health of this tree? It had a lot more leaves prior years. Is it possible to save it? Ooh, that looks like a bur oak or a post oak. I love bur oaks and post oaks. Quercus macrocarpa and Quercus stellata, respectively. Macrocarpa means big fruited, and that is maybe not. Could be something else. I don't know. It's hard to tell from the pictures. Yeah, you got some serious health problems here. Not. Let me backtrack. correct terminology. Not health problems. You've got structural problems here. We want to inspect that little area down there a lot closer and make sure that's not going to cause this tree to fall over. Because if it does, chances are it's going to fall right into that little garage back there, that storage shed or workshop or whatever it is. And that is not ideal, especially if I'm your neighbor. And if your neighbor finds this, now you have been warned and they can hold you liable in a court of law. So I would definitely look at possibly getting a closer look on this one, or even, I might even say remove it because it's not doing so hot. What happened? There we go. What is that? That's not a maple, is it? No. Could be a maple, actually. The picture is so fuzzy. So hard to see. Y'all, whenever you're sending pictures in too, try to get it as clear as possible. I know we all have phones and some of those phones are better than others. That's okay. But like whenever you're sending pictures, try to send some close-ups of the actual problem area, some close-ups of the leaves, some far away ones of the whole canopy. You did great there, Anonymous. And also kind of some ones in between. Try to give me as many pictures as possible. That really helps to identify what's going on. But yeah, you've got a big structural problem there with that tree. Health-wise, I can't really opine on the matter. Opine is the court word for give my opinion. But what I can say is that you've got a big structural problem here, and you really got to address that before it comes crashing down and your neighbor gets all offended. All right, so we're moving on. I have these crepe myrtles between the driveway. I keep them trimmed regularly, but I still cannot get grass to grow. As a result, the rain is washing away the soil into my driveway. Any recommendations, suggestions, ideas? But would prefer not to if I don't have to. Wow, you got a lot of unalived grass there, considering the not so big size of those crepe myrtles there, Jeremy. Let's see what we got. Take a closer look here. Yeah, that's yeah, Lucas just brought up a good point. He's thinking soil compaction. I'm thinking the same. Because okay, so here's the thing, guys. Whenever you've got plants that you plant in the ground, most of those plants love to be in really nice, fluffy, healthy soil. They don't want compacted soil because in compacted soil, a lot of the minerals get locked up and are unavailable to the tree. There's no oxygen, there's no nitrogen in the ground, things like that. And so a lot of times what will happen is you'll get yeah, JK's asking a really good question. Is the creepy creepy myrtle? That's awesome. I know that was on accident, but happy accident, I think. That's great. Is that creepy myrtle? I think I'm gonna start calling them that from now on, if you don't mind, creepy myrtles. Is that crepe myrtle the problem? No, I don't think so. I think you've got a soil compaction issue here. You may even have, you've got some utilities and things like that. You may even have some issues going on there. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I don't think the crepe myrtle is the problem here. It looks like the neighbor has recently done some work with the driveway as well. You've got this new poured concrete section there on both sides, probably so they can get their big manly truck in there. By the way, I'm a tree guy. I don't drive a truck. I drive a little SUV. It's my getting around Ninja mobile because I'm a consultant, y'all. My tree guys got the trucks. I don't need to be burning fossil fuels or whatever. You save the planet, man. It's like, I think it's funny, but here in Texas, you got to be a man. Yeah, no, you're good, JK. I thought that was awesome. That's so funny. Yeah, I think aeration is a really good idea. Lucas brought up a really good point. Do we have any on vertical mulching? Yeah. Okay. Check this out, yo. This is a good one. No, you're totally good, JK. I thought that was hilarious. Creepy myrtle. I'm gonna start using that on just on the dead disease or the unalived diseased and unaliving ones. That's not a crepe myrtle anymore, y'all. That's a creepy myrtle. Sounds better when you get the deep South accent with it. That's one of them there creepy myrtles, y'all. Wait. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right, can y'all see me here? What's up? Hello? Can you see me? Can you hear me now? Woohoo! All right, we got it. Sorry, guys. That was crazy. Gotta love technology. So many great questions, you guys. This is getting crazy. You are live. It says I'm live. Technology is my favorite, you guys. So much my favorite. That's okay. We're getting pretty close to. That's awesome. I don't know what that is, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Wait a minute. Is that me? Hey, what's up? I mean, hold on. We're up. Sweet. Okay, we're good. Yes. All right, cool. I just want to make sure. I am so sorry for that, you guys. Gotta love technology. It's my absolute favorite. That's why I would rather be in the forest and not in the city. Humble opinion, but also it's nice to be in the city with the internet. So I'm a little bit away from the city, not too far, but we got some rain going on here, so I'm wondering if maybe something unalived on me. But anyways, yes, I think you've got a compaction issue. I think it looks like the comments are saying monkey grass, periwinkle, ivy. I don't think that's the problem. I think you've got a compaction issue here, Jeremy. Yeah, I think you've got a compaction issue. It looks like the neighbor poured concrete, so you may have some sort of a issue with phytotoxicity. Concrete has a lot of aggregates, and combine that with a lot of chemicals that can do some damage to some trees and soils. So that will often damage the actual health of the tree. So this is going to be your best friend here. You can get it in quart size as well. I'll go ahead and post this, and then one more thing here. Nope. Where are we at? This is so cool. I finally got my Shopify store up and running, and it's kind of working here. So that's awesome. This is great stuff. It's a little more expensive, but man, I'm telling you, I've seen some drastic changes in the soil. This is the liquid version of Microlife's bioinoculant. And it's basically just going to reculture the soil. Think of it like probiotics for trees. It's basically just taking care of the soil, giving it some beneficials that'll go to work and really get some good new things going. This is actually going to be a really great product too. This is essentially the liquid version of their granular 624, which is just an all-around great product. It just upgrades the health and everything. So, what's up, JK? Thanks for the feedback. That helps. That helps a lot, actually. So yeah, check out those products. That's going to be a really great one for you. But you got a compaction issue. I think one thing you can do is just drill some holes and backfill it with compost. I think that'll go a long ways. However, you want to be super careful because you've got all of those utilities. I'm wondering if maybe the utility guys hadn't had some sort of an impact on that too. But yeah. Well, and Lucas is saying they've got a lot of foot traffic going on. They're probably digging and making a mess of the area back there. And then you got some newer-ish homes, maybe 15 years old. So it seems like you've got a really, really poor soil condition there. Is liquid better than granular? That's a great question, JK, actually. No, it's not. It's easier to apply and it's easier to ship. So it's more concentrated typically. That's why I do the liquids and I don't sell the granulars online because I don't have the ability to ship 40 pounds. I do, but it's going to be super expensive and you can get it cheaper on Amazon. So I'm not trying to make money doing this. I'm just trying to cover my bases. But yeah, liquid, I prefer liquid like compost tea. The liquid usually is a little bit more compact. It's a little more concentrated typically than the granulars, but granulars, you have to mix it and pelletize it. So you take the same ingredients and you basically just compress it with like alfalfa or some sort of binding agent like that. That'll help it to stick together. So, all right. So we're getting pretty close. I think that was where we ended. Almost. There we go. Yeah, we got one more and then we're to the same point. I'm going to go ahead and knock out a few more of those and I'm going to call it a night tonight, but we're back on the air tomorrow. We're going to come at you at 7:30 as well. So let's go through these. So Tim Tan's asking, need a quote on removal of a 33-foot tall. I have my doubts. Live oak on the maybe 33-inch diameter. That's a big old tree, dude. On the west side, Jacksonville, Florida. Reach out to me. I can maybe hook you up with some good guys out there. Just a reminder, too, though, that's not what this group is for. This group is for answering y'all's tree questions, so don't do that. But also, let me know if you need help. I got you. All right, have some arborvitae trees whose leaves are turning brown. They were doing this toward the end of summer, last summer, too. The trees are about 3 years old. They should be getting plenty of water as it's rained a lot lately. I do have mulch and weed fabric on them. Oh, no. I just moved the mulch around around the base of the tree, hoping it would help. Good choice, Jason. That's brilliant. When I moved the mulch, I saw that many of the tree roots had grown up above the weed fabric. Pictured. Haha. That's what you get for putting weed fabric down. I'm not trying to be snarky or rude, but I really hate that stuff. It's very, very bad. Okay, so you got some really big mulch here. The smaller, the more compacted and decomposed the mulch is, the better, because that's how the forest works. Let's see about this picture. Oh, the roots are growing up. Okay, yeah, they're growing through the fabric. Why? Because they need oxygen, and that weed fabric actually blocks and hinders the tree and those roots and the soil from getting air. And so, yeah, what I would do, I would absolutely rip that out of the ground. If you need to get rid of some weeds, use some vinegar. Concentrated is great. You can also use, I like ammonium nanoate, but it's like $150 for a 2.5 gallon bucket, and they don't sell anything smaller. With permission, one of these days, I'd like to start smelling. I'm so silly. I'd like to start selling quarts of that, but I got to talk to the manufacturer and see if they'll allow me to parse it out like that. But it's a really, really great product. It has been extensively analyzed by the EPA, and it's extremely organic. It breaks down. It's just gone. Ammonium nanoate is a great product. They also have some cinnamon-based herbicides there as well. Let's see. Where's I reading on that? Agrolon is the company. Cinnamon weed killer. Weed unaliver. Excuse me. Sorry, algorithms. Yeah, so these that you're seeing, Jason, are actually microscopic. Those are the fibrous absorbing roots. You can get rid of those, but you want to get rid of that fabric for sure, because that is absolutely hindering your tree's ability to grow and thrive. The other thing too is make sure that the root flares are not buried. Go ahead and just get that soil away from it. And if you see any roots that are girdling, that are cutting across the stems, go ahead and snip those off as well. You can use a chisel and hammer or just a good pair of loppers. Also, if you use loppers in the soil, you'll have to sharpen them afterwards, but not a huge deal. You got to get those girdling roots out of there. I'd be willing to bet money that you probably got that, because those are 3-year-old trees. I can see there's no root flare that I can see, but I know how these nurseries does things, y'all. And my dying legacy, I want to see some reform in the industry of landscapers and tree guys, etc. All right, hope that helps. Gregory's asking, been fighting black ants in this tree for a few years. It's otherwise healthy, and I do not want to cut it down. Any ideas? Yeah. So black ants, those are not Formosan termites. Formosan termites are the only ones that I know of. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. That actually that have the enzymes to break down living tree tissue. Everything else is going to go after already diseased and dying, unaliving wood. And so typically whenever you've got decayed, decade's a good word. I can use that. The algorithms won't castrate me or whatever. And yeah, Lindsay Purcell, again, legend in the industry. Thanks for being here, Lindsay. Get a tree risk assessment by a qualified certified arborist. Yep, agree wholeheartedly. And I'd love to help you out. The main thing is, what's the likelihood of failure? What are the consequences? If the tree falls in the forest, doesn't matter. It's going to feed all the other trees later on. But if it falls on your house or your family, that's no good. So absolutely. And again, I'd love to be a part of that journey with you and take a look at it in person, determine if it's really viable to keep or if you should go ahead and cut your losses and remove the tree. So yeah, like I said, I'd love to be a part of that and see if we can help you out. Oops, that's not right. There we go. But yeah, we can take a look at it and we can give you what's called a tree risk assessment. And Lindsay's spot on. Yeah, black carpenter ants, even termites, any of those little guys, they generally they're not going to eat the living tissue. They're going to go into already decaying or unaliving wood. And yeah, you're probably fine. So, but it looks to me like there's really not much on the backside of that tree. Realistically, I think you're probably okay. Leave it alone, let the forest do its thing, and you should be good. But yeah, if you do have something back there, it's definitely worth taking a look at it and seeing if we can just really get a good idea of what to do with that tree. Beautiful maple. All right, so happy Independence Day, and same to you guys too, by the way. So Jody's asking from Rich South High School. I don't know where that is. Hello, I'm new to this group and have an almost 40-year-old ornamental cherry tree. It was beautiful and round, but as you can see, we have had to prune unalived limbs over the years. Is there something we can do to nurse it back to health, or is it too far gone? Wow, you said 40 years old. That's awesome. That's the picture with the statue there, Joey. Okay, so great point, Christine. Thank you so much again for being here. She's a local here. Christine, this is something I love to do. She was purchasing a home and just wanted a tree evaluation on just the overall scope of the homes, or of the trees rather. So that's something we do on a regular basis. Is we'll take a look at it. We call it a pre-purchase tree evaluation. And my brother actually just bought a little, or is in the purchase, the option period, if I can use words, in a home in Huntsville, a little north of Houston. And he was actually, we were talking earlier, I'm going to go out there Friday and take a look at his potential trees on his potential new home and see what they need. And that's, by the way, that's really good leverage on the buying power. And so you can take that report back to them and say, hey, I love the home. We want to buy. We want to continue to move forward. Here's these things. Professional arborist is taking a look at it, and they really want these things to be done before it's safe to live in. So you can use that as leverage. You know, a lot of times we'll just go in and say, yeah, trees are fine. They need a little bit of structural pruning. It's not worth fighting them in the negotiation process. But Christine is absolutely right. Just a heads up, you might need to take some more pictures of the tree to get a good diagnosis. Also, how compact is the soil around the tree? Great questions, Christine, and great point. Thank you so much for being here. She says, thanks for the reply. It's hard to get other good pictures since there are other trees in the background. Yeah, believe me, this is a bane of my existence in this career. Taking good photos. You get that diffused lighting through the trees. Thank God for people like Lucas here, because he knows how to deal with those things. I rely on robots and computers and phones and stuff. It's in our landscaping, which is done 40 years ago by a professional landscaper, but I imagine the soil is pretty compacted. We have some clay in our soil. Yeah, clay is no good. I'd move the baubles. Baubles? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, baubles that expose the root flare at the bottom of the tree. The tree needs to breathe through them. Yes, that's so true. I love that you're learning these things, Christine, and pass the word along, because, like, why do nobody that does this professionally know these things? I don't know. Okay, then hit the soil with humic acid and molasses. The humic acid will break down the clay, and the molasses just gives the tree some extra energy. And it feeds the microbes too. Don't forget that. Feeds the beneficial bacteria. Microlife fertilizers are my go-to for that kind of stuff. Adding raw compost to the mix is good too. Just letting you know, I'm an enthusiast, not an arborist. I've been watching Matt's recommendations on YouTube for a while. You rock, Christine. Thanks so much for following me on this journey. And yeah, Jody, she's absolutely spot on. You've got to get those root flares exposed. You've got some stressors going on that I can see. I don't have a lot of good info to go off of. So I'm going to request the same. To me, it looks like you've got a really, really stressed tree, and you can see some of the unaliving back that it's doing on the branch tips. And it looks like a little bit of discoloration on the leaves, which tells me maybe there's a nutrient problem. That humic acid, by the way, that'll feed the endo and ectomycorrhizals. That will pull those nutrients out of the soil. Chelate them is the word, and make them available to the tree. So hope that helps, Jody. Way to go, Christine. That's awesome. You're crushing it out there. And let me know when you want to go get your Arborist certification. I'll support you all the way. Anyways, all right. So Mark is asking, Sequoia seems to be struggling. We're in West Ohio. Any ideas? That's so cool. Sequoia. Okay, so the thing with sequoias, they're only meant to grow in one region in the US, and that's on the West Coast because they have a lot of humidity coming in from the coastal breeze. But you've got it right near a lake, it looks like. So maybe it's not a bad idea. I wonder though, is it a dawn redwood or like a giant redwood? If it's a coastal redwood, then you might. Did you say sequoia or redwood? Hold on. Sequoia. Oh, my bad. Giant sequoia. Seems to be struggling. I'm not sure on that one, Mark. I'm sorry. I can't really tell. The interior branches unaliving is totally normal. That's to be expected on any type of conifer. But I'm not really sure. I don't see any, like all the rest of the needles seem dark and green and healthy. I'd wonder if you've got some issues with the root flares being buried and maybe compacted soil. I know I sound like a broken record here, y'all, but man, so common the issue is just compacted soil or we call them anaerobic problems, anaerobic diseases is meaning not and abiotic rather is the term. A meaning not and biotic meaning living. So non-living organisms. To me, it seems like you just got a stress tree. It looks like it's pretty young, probably recently planted. So I would assume those sequoias are going to grow 2, 3, 4, 5 feet per year. And so being this young, I imagine it was planted improperly. So that would be my first step is let's figure out what's going on with the planting and why it's doing that. What is this? What do you got? Logs on here? Sorry, not to be creepy, Mark, but I saw trees being cut down here. Are you a tree nut like me? What do you got? Ooh, that's some beautiful wood. Nice. That's a maple. Weekend warrior when it comes to tree work. But yeah, sorry, I'm not more helpful there. If you want, like I said, we can get on a good digital consultation. We can take a look at it and figure out exactly what's going on. I'd love to help you out. Moving on. All right, so let's do maybe like 4 more, and then we'll call it a night, y'all. How's that sound? I'm getting tired, and I've talked too much. I'm starting to just annoy myself with my own voice. So, Carolyn, Lucas says I'm annoying him too. Is that what you said? I'm messing with you, Lucas. Lucas is a trooper. He's like sick as a dog right now, and he's still here with us. So y'all, let's round of applause for Lucas. Like, thanks for being here, dude. You're the best. All right. So Carolyn's been hoping to save this tree. The bark has been coming off for years, but my condo core does nothing. Canada, Ontario, my only shade. Nor will they. The condo corp probably doesn't know what they're talking about. Even the landscape crews that they hire. You've got it's like that dark black streaking is indicative of a fungal pathogen, but that's not the end all be all. That may have been what started it. I think this may have been like a sun scald issue. I'd be curious what side that's on, if it's on the east, west, south, north, whatever side. And maybe if you can give me a little more information on that, Carolyn, that would help. But you've got some nice new tissue coming in here. So that's a good thing. That means the tree's trying to heal and seal. The bark flaking off. This happened years ago, Carolyn. Don't worry. This is not like, wow, it happened today. And yeah, that's awesome. You're great. JK saying, thank you, Lucas. Yeah, he makes this possible, by the way. So yeah, thanks for being there and the encouragement, JK. You're awesome. All right. So back to Carolyn's tree. Okay. The other thing is you've got a root flare issue. You got to expose those root flares. Let me go back to the drawing board here. I don't know what that was we were talking about. That's some weird drawing. I wonder who did that. So anytime you see a big bean pole sticking out of the ground, it is wrong. This is the soil. what you want to see is you want to see these big root flares. You want the soil grade to be right about the 45-degree mark. Where is that? There we go. Trees go off of taper. So what they're doing is they're forming those buttress roots is what we call them. And if you think back to like medieval architecture, is they mimicked that in their designs and their workups. And pyramids, by the way, same thing. Is that's all just the most structurally sound structure that you can create. So you got these branch unions. I don't know why I'm drawing that. That's irrelevant. So what you want is the soil to come right up to the root flares. It's very, 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 very important for the tree. So I think that's a big part of it. You've got a little bit of a stressor there. You also, it looks like you had some sun scald years ago. But I think you're on the right track. The tree seems to be healing over and sealing over nicely. Again, that microlife is going to be a great resource just to give it some extra resources. Let me go and post that one more time. Ocean Harvest. This is great stuff, y'all. You can almost spray this non-discriminately and just spray it on the leaves, on the soil. It's going to act as a rooting agent. It's going to act as a hormone booster. It's going to act as just an overall health upgrade and as a mild fertilizer. So try that out. But you're on the right track. You can actually peel all of, lion feet. Lion's tail, lion feet. That's good. Yeah, you can actually peel all of that unalived bark off. It's really not doing anything right now. So moving on. Hope that helps. All right. So Diane's asking, we have a rising sun redbud tree. Those are really cool, beautiful trees, by the way. We've gotten a lot of rain off and on the last couple of months, off and on the last couple of months. My tree has something wrong with the new leaves. I think I saw insect droppings below one branch that fell on an iris leaf, so we were visible, but couldn't find any insects. There are nibble places on some of the new leaves, and the edges of some of them are black. However, it also kind of resembles a fungus or question mark. We're in zone 7B, Oklahoma City. My neighbors, my in-laws actually live in Lawton, Oklahoma, if you know the area, southwest of Oklahoma City. There is no mulch under the tree. It currently gets sun starting at 11 a.m. Okay, so you're getting a lot. Redbuds love to be under canopy. I'll say that first. So it looks like maybe some like bacterial leaf scorch. Ooh, let's see what the comments are. Where'd you go? One of the arborists was very helpful with my first issue, so I'd like to follow along if you don't mind. My tree also has spittlebug this year, and we've never had those before. Yeah, so here's the thing with spittlebugs, aphids, crawlers, you've got scale, you've got all these different critters. They're all going to attack mostly a stressed tree. It's just like humans. We call it what's the word here? Flu season. But in reality, it's like, overeat, overstress, overspend, overpay, over everything, overdrink, it's just, that's when everybody takes a break and we don't want to. Let's see what else. That's funny. I don't know. Lawton has some history to it. Did Toronto end his days there? I don't know, honestly. I need to know that, don't I? My in-laws are there. What I do know is it's a really, really cool town. A lot of history there. So I kind of need to know now, don't I? I got to go do some research on that. I appreciate that. Lawton, Oklahoma. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, academic. I'm sorry. I wish I did, but now I kind of got to know because like my in-laws live there. We go there all the time, There's some really neat parks around there. There's what's called Medicine Park, where it's like a little river that flows through just north of where my in-laws live, and just a beautiful area. I did some videos there actually last October, November, and just because it was like beautiful and the leaves were starting to turn and all that. But yeah, I think you've got a really stressed tree. I'd like to see the base of it. Sorry, I don't know if y'all noticed, I'm like all over the place. All ADD up in here. Yeah, put some mulch down and make sure those root flares are buried. I'm wondering what's going on here. It looks like maybe it's sunk. Yeah, so those are all on the new leaves too. So I don't think this is a fungal problem. I don't think this is I think it's a new tree planted problem. And combine that with it's getting only some afternoon. I know, right? Don't I? Academic. I definitely need to know that. That's funny. They actually just moved there a couple of years ago. Yeah, a couple and a half years ago. So really neat town. Jason Christie's an angler, tribal member there. Lots of my bass angling guys I follow are around. Okay, yeah. So some of the lakes and streams there are really cool up in Oklahoma. It's really a neat. Yeah, radial trenching time. JK's saying. Yes. So yeah, I'll get back to you on that academic because I really want to do a little research and find out more about law in Oklahoma. So what I'm seeing here, Diane, is you got a really stressed tree. And I'm wondering, that's a good point. She's saying, JK's saying that vertical mulching, radial trenching, I'm wondering if those aren't going to have a huge help and benefit to your tree there. It's a beautiful little tree. I will say this too, though. What's that? Yeah. So, yeah, the thing with redbuds, they actually prefer to be under canopy too. So that's going to be important. Let me do this. Creator Insider. Radial trenching. Yeah, that's a really good point, JK. Shareable link. There we go. I'm losing it. I'm getting tired, y'all. Okay. So hopefully that helps. I really need to see the base of it and figure out what's going on exactly. But it seems to me like you've got some planting issues, maybe some rooting issues, and it's just a general stress. The pests are all going to be secondary. It does look like you got some sucking pests there. I don't see any chewing pests, but maybe a little fungal pathogen. But it almost looks more like a drought combined with a lot of rain on and off last couple of months. My tree is something. Yeah, maybe it could be drought. It could be flooding even. So hopefully that helps. And we're moving on. Limbo 100-year-old pecan tree. We don't want to hurt the tree, but the limb can't grow to the ground. Obviously, I disagree. Actually, what can we do to preserve the tree? You can actually just take some of that weight off of the bottom there, Jace. Alan, excuse me, I almost called you Jason. I was talking to Jason earlier. So let me show you kind of what I'm looking at here. Copy image, and we're going to go to paint here, and we're going to do new. Don't save. Let me tell you what I would do if this were my tree. Oops. No, we want to forward that. Here we go. Line. If you really got to get it off the ground, all right, and I'm not saying you should. I think you should let it grow if you've got room to. The only thing, if it's like you don't want it touching the ground, is you can maybe remove this limb. You can maybe take this limb and just do some weight reduction on it. Same with these. Are you sure it's a pecan though? That almost looks like an ash to me. Maybe just take some of these lower limbs. By the way, anytime you're pruning a tree, it's actually better to make a lot of small cuts than it is to make one big cut. And there's a couple reasons for that. Is first of all, each leaf is a food factory, right? So all the leaves that you're taking off, the more you remove, the more stress it's going to add for the tree because the tree spent resources putting those leaves there, right? They're growing and all of that costs energy. And so think of it like a bank account is all the leaves are the money makers. They go out to work every day, all day. They produce and they deposit resources into the bank, which is the woody tissue, the roots, etc. And so that almost looks like a hickory, maybe. Actually, sorry, ADD, by the way. But they're basically going out, and then we call them sinks and sources. Sinks cost resources. Sources produce resources. So the leaves are a source. They're producing resources. If they no longer produce, the tree gets rid of them. They fall to the ground during the winter, less sunlight. They got all these changes going on with the timing and the cold and all that. And it's at risk of freezing, which can severely damage the tree. That's why they drop in the winter. And so you've got all of these that are, you don't want to make like really, really big cuts on a tree if you can avoid it. And that's all relative, of course, to the tree itself. If you can make a ton of little cuts on the very tips of the branches, way better than removing the whole thing because you've taken away those resources and it takes a lot of resource. Oh, yep. Here we go. Thanks, JK. Sorry. And it takes a lot of resources for them to seal large wounds relative to little wounds. So if you can make 20 of those little cuts compared to one 10-inch limb, humble opinion, I don't have the resource source for it, but this is just experience speaking. That's so much better for the tree than it is to remove that one big limb. So yeah, obviously I disagree. I don't think that you need to remove the limbs per se. I think it's okay growing into the ground. You don't want the woody tissue will actually adjust accordingly. And if you can maybe brace it up with like some sort of a block or make sure it's wood, not stone, then that might help and go a long ways. But yeah, I think you've got an okay tree, and it looks like you've got the room for it. So I love that sweeping effect. We used to train them at the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens to like grow into the ground and then back out again. It was so cool. And like you come in like every 6 months or a year, and you just see the changes that are made. It's so awesome. So yeah, 100-year-old pecan tree. Go minimal, Alan. Hope that helps. Moving on, low all. I am hoping you can help me identify this tree and provide some details on it. What is causing the top branches to unalive? It's located in Minneapolis, 60 feet plus tall, has a circumference of 9+ feet. By the way, circumference, let's say 9 feet. It's going to be what, 108? Oops. Times divided by 3.14. So you got about a 34-inch tree. That is a big tree. That's an old tree. I don't know specifically what kind of tree is. Norwegian, I was thinking spruce or fir of some sort, anonymous. Yeah, so that currently only the topmost branches on one side have unalived, but 1/3 of the top of a near identical neighboring tree is unalived already. Ooh, that's not good. That may mean you've got something coming in. Pine bark beetles, I think, will come after them. Let's see. It almost looks like a deodar cedar, actually. No, it doesn't, after all. No, I lied. That's not a deodar. Oh, no, that's some sort of spruce or fir. I don't know, to be honest. Let me see. Let me do this, because fortunately, with all these AI and robots and interwebs and all that, we can get some really good results. So let's just run this through the AI bots and see what they got to say. Yeah, I cheat. Sorry. Deal with it. Copy, paste. No, that's not right. Let's see what old interwebs got to say about it. This is my robot buddy. Norway spruce. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Spruce. Yeah, I think Norway spruce is right, and it gives even reasons why. By the way, Lucas and I are working on some really cool stuff, y'all. We're gonna revolutionize the industry, I think. And there's some things with robots that we can do to create some things that will go a long ways. And I'm not going to go into details with this, but Lucas is a freaking genius, and he's going to help me make this dream a reality, I think. And we're going to do some things to really upgrade our ability as professionals, but not just as professionals, other industries out there that like landscapers, concrete guys, gutter roofing guys, things like that, where they can actually take pictures of the tree and have full plans spitting out, like just have the robot spit out full plans on what to do exactly. Just knowing what I know combined with all of the industry research and all that. But we've got some big plans in the works, and I can't say any more than that because otherwise y'all will go and steal it. And I've had that happen. It's no fun. Anyways, hope that helps you guys. Wow, it's so fun. Like this was just spur of the moment. I told y'all Tuesday and it wound up being Wednesday. I'm sorry for that, but it's been so fun having you guys with us. JK, Academic, all y'all for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of this group. And this has been really fun for me. We're building something cool here. When we started this live stream, we had 849 members. We're now up to 851 members. If y'all remember last week, we were at 764. The week prior to that, we were at 664. So we are growing very, very, very rapidly. And again, we're having to change and adapt and grow and all that. But we'll get this, you guys. We got some cool things in the mix here. And like I said, I'm just so glad y'all are a part of this journey. And thank y'all for being here. We literally couldn't do this without you. And for all the great questions and all that. Again, we're going to be coming back live tomorrow night at 7:30 Central Standard Time. Hopefully that works with your schedule. But again, this genius in my ear here, Lucas, is helping me on the back end. So even if you can make it, go back and check the post that you made after the live stream, and we'll have a nice link there where you can just go right to the point in the video and do that. So we do this for you guys. And again, we run a company called Arborist on Demand, and essentially think of it like telemedicine for trees. Is we just get on the line and just help you, just like we're doing here. We just do a much deeper dive. We'll ask you questions, things like that, and really just try to pinpoint what's going on, because trees are important to us as humans, and they benefit us in so many ways. And so, this is really important to me, and hopefully it's helping you guys out a lot. Again, we've gotten some great feedback. And by the way, something that might help me out as well, if y'all found the information that we're giving you useful, we're actually looking to grow some of our reviews and all that. So hit us up on Arborist on Demand. You can find it on Google. Just look up Arborist on Demand and write us a review. If it helped you out, just say something like, hey, it was very knowledgeable. They helped identify the problem, get us going in the right direction. That would really, really help me out a lot. And of course, if you haven't yet, go on over to the Tubes of You. We're doing some much longer videos. I'm working on some things with some really cool industry professionals where we're doing interviews with some of the best guys on this planet that know trees way more than I do. And so hit us up on YouTube. Be sure and subscribe to the channel. And of course, as you see things that you like, go ahead and like it and share it with all your cool friends. And again, all those things help us to grow. Like I said, we're going places, and we're just so glad y'all could be a part of this group. And hey, JK, thank you. Thanks for saying, appreciate all the info. It is my pleasure. And thank you for being here, and all of y'all for being here. And we'll catch you next time. See y'all tomorrow night. Have a great evening.